Hello everyone, how are all of you doing? Are starting to do one of the matches for today. As soon as I find it, we should be fine. We will be doing SOS Butterhood against Wild Grumpies. As I am earlier today, it shouldn't be a problem. Here we go. Alright, this will be an interesting match because not everyone is going to show up in this match. One of the teams. Ooh. In this case, only have 16 people, which is SOS. Butterhood, if I am not mistaken, is a team that already has won previously. So, hello, Maida. How are you doing? Welcome to the stream. It seems like here WoW have been won one championship before. Well, right now participation will be key. Not all players are the top players, so this will be an interesting match to watch and see how they're going to be using most of their top players and the way that they are to the balance of the match. As you all know, this is an event that from one of the oldest events that is in SOS, so there are a lot of knowledge in how you should be playing the event. People will be fighting for everything they can to see how they are going to take the victory home. In 45 seconds, what is going to happen is that the barrier that is here will be down, players will be able to teleport, and the majority of the buildings will open. This is the first stage that we have in the Doomsday, which is the equivalent of Reservoir League, which is an event that also have the same rules, at least in how you do gameplay, to the Reservoir Raid that a lot of people do in game. So all these buildings are gonna open up here. These ones outside. And these 3 buildings here will remain closed for the first 45 seconds. Hi Roxy, how are you doing? We do have a 21 against 20 match, so this will be interesting, as I said, because more players will be able to join as the match goes on. As you all know from the discussions and the streams that I've done before, solar power station is where a lot of the power is in the beginning of the game. So Frosky is going really hard to try to get things. Black Widow just relocated back to try to go through. We do have 3 members from WoW here trying to fight for this match. Seems that no rally was started. People are just joining with whatever they can and trying to solo things out for now. It looks like Frosky from SOS is going to keep this building, which is going to give them a major advantage right now due to the fact that This will capturing this will give them enough power to hold most of the other buildings. And by power, I mean soft power. The way that this works is that solar power station gives half the time you to control any building, and this allows you, if you time your rallies properly, to have the rallies that you're doing to be more efficient. Because unless you are next to the building, due to the time you have to walk in and walk back, and you start a rally exactly in the next 1 or 2 seconds before doing it, with at most a 1 minute rally, you are not able to take back any buildings as soon as they have control on solar power station. That being said, right now SOS has a huge advantage because the buildings that are in here, water treatment centers, these two are the most important buildings besides solar power station that they also control. And the reason that is that there is something called water spillage, and that water spillage is whenever a building changes hands. What will happen is that half of the water that they've got so far, that is usually identified here in this below sign, is gonna be thrown in the ground in a lot of puddles. Those puddles are random, and those puddles will give you a lot of water back. So, what happens if these buildings are left alone, but these buildings, these other here, are controlled by mouse, is that the points that they will get from here can be massively negated by the end of the match, which is why one of the strategies more commonly used by top alliances is to ignore the other buildings that are not these free. So these focus on these free plus solar power station, hold them for as much as they can in a match, and then closer to the end of the match they reset the other buildings and get their water back. As soon as they have a decent amount of stronger players into the water tanks, things should go smoothly and they should be able to take the match. So at the 45-minute mark, the phase 2 starts. In this phase is specifically what will happen is that the center and the other 2 buildings will open, and as the center is another one of the important buildings, it does in fact put more strain into players. Third stage after that, what happens in that phase is that all the water tanks start to open up through the map, and these open up through the map. It does 3 tanks per quadrant of the map. So here you can look in the minimap. Each of the quadrants, every single one of them will have a bunch of water tanks in here, and those water tanks will put more pressure in the members that are in here to control them. So what ends up happening in those quadrants is that more players go and spread their thinner and are able to fight for those. Then that happens again at 26 and 16. So that's the phase of the water tanks. And finally, after the water tanks start to deplete, players go and fight back for the minority of points, and in that phase usually what ends up happening is that you end up fighting for the water spillage that is around, as that water spillage matters a lot for the majority of the players. It seems that in terms of power, that Frosky is going to be holding solar power station, and although some rallies are hitting Patricia here, it seems that they are going to be able to hold it. So it seems that unless WoW has a rabbit to pull out of the hat, this match is gonna go through WoW. Even though that they are being able to hold a few of the buildings, this is gonna put a lot more strain. That being said, this is only for phase 1. They're gonna be able to accumulate a bunch of advantages, so it's too early to call a shot and to fight for things. But when we do get from the center, as the majority of players will have at that point joined in there and fought for the center, This is gonna give them a major edge. Seems like more players join, and now we have 26 against 27, and this puts WoW in a little stronger position. So they'll have a bit more joiners and more people to go into the water tanks. This might make a small difference, but we'll have to watch and wait how big the difference will be itself. How is everyone doing? Since we wait until for the next 5 minutes for do this. Hello, Shvan. How you doing? Yo, man. I know this may look like a little bit complicated to you. This may look like I'm doing this and explaining completely insane stuff. That being said, this is the most important thing that you have under your control up to this point. Because the way that the reservoir raid works is that you have two elements: how powerful your rally leads and members are, and the strategy that you use. There is the possibility of you being able to fight back against an opponent that is roughly around 20% stronger than you in any single fight in here. Anything above that is a little bit harder to fight back. In some cases, it's gonna be impossible. Wishing you a good day as well, Shvan. But it is possible to fight back against that difference. And in most battles that you are going to be fighting are going to be within that difference. So strategy plays a key role in most cases that you are fighting for things like that. So, and this means that you are, the majority of fights that you go for, you are able to win them. But players like to think that they don't, and morale as well as strategy are two things that impact majorly due to the fact that people are not exactly paying attention to what they're doing. And of course, mute my teams because I'm gonna give PTSD to people that are listening to my teams. All right. Thankfully, my beautiful chair is on top of it, so it shouldn't be a problem. All right. So what we are gonna have is in the next 3 minutes we will have the center opening, and at that point we're gonna be able to easily evaluate things like that. For countering rallies right now, the way that the players is the way that the game is and how strong people are is that what you should be doing, you should be in voice chat for events that are highly organized, like tournaments like this, even if people dislike, and you should tell people that you are being rallied if you are rallied, or request for one of your rally leads to be able to have a reinforcement for you in time. As rally leads in general tend to speed up marches, if you are close to one, you should be safe. That being said, with the majority of players that are in here that are not, depending on how they are, with the amount of troops that they have, at least in the power of these two matches here, they should be safe as long as they have at least their behemoths back the wall. As you can only use them in two marches, this makes things a lot easier for them to be able to defend themselves. So in 2 minutes, we are going to have things opening up here in the center, and we are going to be able to get things. So as soon as you actually get burned, you being in around a lot of other players and not moving out is a bad move. So even though that this player is trying to defend himself with other people reinforcing him, he is too fair gone to be here. So players are fighting for this building. In my opinion, it's too early to do that due to the water tanks. But if they have the water spillage, but if they have enough troops to be able to be spreading around, that should be fine. If they don't, this is what happens. The other team starts to fight back and pop off their buildings that they are in, grab the water as Blue Sky is doing here without being contested, and they are able to push the score back up. Oh, I'm not in any of those accounts. I'm using the Bounding Bird. I am using the feature that is designed for you to spectate games. Definitely, Shvan. That's one thing that I really enjoyed about this event, in general, and RR, is that you are able to fight freely and to go all out without having to worry about the permanent damage that you can have in your account. So it is 100% a good thing that you are able to do this. So 8 seconds right now. It seems like SOS is going to be speeding in, and thanks to that, they are going to be holding the center. Right, and due to the fact that they are holding center plus solar power station, they are able to control it in 1 minute and 30 seconds. This meant as well that a lot of the players timed their rallies into this water treatment, which is the right thing to move. One of the best things you can do in terms of strategy is time your rallies to hit at the threshold of when people are moving. So if you time your rally to hit or exactly at the 45-minute mark, to be specific, I would go for like 45 and 3 seconds, because a lot of players may be moving out, and if there is not a lot of coordinations with players that are joining the buildings that you are in, you can catch them off guard as they are moving, because when they relocate out, all their troops move out, and by that you're going to be able to hit a building that's a lot weaker than it would normally be. As you can see, the rally lead here moved out, and that would be make the rally more effective. Seems that WoW is going for the smaller buildings here for the bonuses, which, as they are behind, I don't think that's exactly the best idea, but we'll see how they're going to control things. It seems like SOS control the center, and this is going to give them a good boost in points for the first occupation. And Joe, that was in the center, moved out and is trying to hit some of the other buildings to grab back some of the advantage. One thing about this match is that even though that is favoring strongly SOS right now, that the way that that WoW is fighting a lot harder in terms of how they're doing things. So even though that they will be doing this, if they are much better in the water tanks in organization, as it seems like they have been so far in this match to be able to fight back the buildings, they may be able to crawl back a lot of these points that are in here. That being said, what will happen is that unless they are able to pop these buildings out, they are not going to be able to crawl back all the difference. Ishvan, you're welcome to have your own opinion about the game, and if you think that developers would like those ideas, feel free to use the feedback feature they have. You can contact customer support and send feedback through the game, or you can do that through the official Discord with the mod team that usually get feedback, and there's a channel there specifically for that. Bound Bird. I do not have a YouTube that I post a lot, but yes, I can share my YouTube. I do stream mostly on Twitch, and I don't usually stream SOS, but sure. This is my Twitch. And this is my YouTube. Since you ask, I usually don't go out of the way to advertise, but here you go. This is my YouTube. So for those wanting it, there you go. Oh, that's for you to ask me, Ishvan, to ask the devs, not me. Keep in mind, guys, I'm only here to present and explain to the best of my abilities the event, give you some entertainment and my thoughts. I was one of the in-game streamers. I used to stream inside of SOS. But right now what I am doing is here providing commentary and doing this. Out of perception, I think it's group 7? I'm not entirely sure. So as we mentioned before, due to the fact that WoW held this building for a while, all the water spillage is here. But as SOS is not getting any of the spillage, they are going to be able to crawl back and guarantee the majority of points here. With the save from Trinity here, they were able to get 2 of the bigger puddles. But still, the majority of points it seems to have gone to WoW. Oh, the majority of games right now, even though they don't reply directly in things like that, they use a lot of bots in some cases. They do have a tracking system to see the feedback that they do. They may not enact it, but I can guarantee to you that at least they are tracking it. And we do have another another building that was popped up here. We will have in 2 minutes and 50 seconds at the moment the next stage, which are gonna make things a lot more strained. In this stage, one of the most interesting things is to use the minimap to check not only where they are, but how the situation is to see how you can do. So, as you can see here, not everyone knows because not everyone is a player with a cannon. Right now, you probably can be higher plasma and not have gone into plasma research. Whenever you see a player that has that animation on top, is because they have their cannon. The cannon can be 15 to 30 minutes long. It depends on how things are in the research. And you should keep in mind that at those moments, they're gonna get a slightly buff in lethality. The way that it works is a flat bonus that you get while the buff is up. So that usually can be the edge if the difference in the stats is small. Again, man, I'm here to discuss the match. I know that a lot of people enjoy doing things and wanting to either troll the streams or to just try to protest here. Honestly, you're gonna fall into deaf ears if you are gonna come here for that, because if this was as important as a lot of people consider or a valid way to do it, we would have a lot more support moving the matches. So sit back and enjoy. If you want to share or do things like that, feel free to, but I'm doing this out of fun and out of care from you guys that are in here. And if you want to do anything regarding things like that in the game, use the proper channels. All right, so in 45-second mark, the 3rd stage is going to start. At that stage, you are going to be able to see what things are happening. And we are going to explain a little bit more on how people can do and fight back with the water tanks. Because I know that a lot of people that aren't here usually fall into a few categories. You're either here watching the streams, the streamers themselves, you are here to watch and learn a little bit more about the event, or you are here because it's your favorite team. As both teams are not as popular, looks like the solar power station flipped right at the 36-minute mark, which is a good thing for SOS, be able to control Beckett. So as you can see, you instantly can go to the map, pick a club, and go in there. All right. At this point, we should be able to check the water tanks moving. So we do have a slight edge for WoW at the moment. That being said, we'll all see if things are going to flip or not. SOS so far have been very passive in the match, as in not going as far for water tanks, for water spillage. So I can see that if they wouldn't go here for all the water tanks as well. But it seems like they have a few players moving in, and as long as they are keep being inefficient for that's probably going to be enough. What a lot of alliances do is that they assign players that are either middle power or that in some cases are a strong player that is not needed in all the rallies, and they put those players here to not only try to burn the smaller players but also to fight for the water tanks. The reason that you want to do this specifically is that those points count, and unlike the other buildings, they count instantly from the moment that you reach the water tanks. So if you can get a player to relocate, then you are gonna go and get 4 points. As you seem to not be in good faith, Baldenberg, I am not gonna address you anymore. All right. So seems like that the water tanks are being fought back, and some of them are being defended properly. And this is also putting, as you can see, a lot of strain in also the other buildings. But it seems like SOS have been opting to not fight with all their players into the water tanks. And what ends up happening in here is that they have more players that are able to hold the buildings. One thing that not everyone knows, and it's very important for you to pay attention, especially if you're playing the match, is that you can know how many players are inside, even if you don't do a scouting march. And the way that you do that is you check the shield on top of it is the number of players that are currently inside of a building. So if you are a player that can solo one of those buildings, you can keep that in track to send a few marches to be able to keep people back. Right now, it seems that the majority of water tanks are being controlled by WoW, but that as SOS is holding more of the buildings, they are gathering more points. This is starting to be more stable, but things, as the score is starting to inch closer, might be a problem for SOS if in the next batch that happens at the 26-minute mark, people go and people fight for more water tanks and puts more strain in the other buildings as well. Also, you're welcome to say that to not only, and thank you for not only being here but also being engaging in chat. OJ is holding the center here. It seems like how many points we have in game, and you're gonna see how important it is to be able to track and have an idea for those buildings. So right now we have 5. So 15. 640. We have 46,000 points in match from the blue team and 12,000 points from the red team. This means that if the red team would gather every single water tank in here, they would be essentially tied right now. Not exactly tied, but essentially very close to. And this means that this match is not over yet, so if they keep losing space in the water tanks, which they are fighting back right now, this could be dangerous for them. And this is why, as I said, the most efficient strategy for top alliances is to hold these 3 buildings plus here, because you can hold the majority of the buildings and fight them back and forth. Plus, you can divert your efforts controlling all the water tanks. What people don't realize is a water tank gives you 240. It will be the exact equivalent of having the smaller buildings, and controlling 3 water tanks is equivalent to every one of these smaller buildings. So if you control extra 12, you already are getting more points than it would be bargaining for. And not only that, the reality is that those buildings here, if you are able to get the water spillage, you get in actuality 300 points. So getting 2 water tanks, if you can able to pop and grab all the spillages, is more efficient than 1 building. So if you have to put 2 people on top of that building or more, that would be able to be getting water tanks, that's less efficient than going for those buildings. Now we will have another wave coming in 3 minutes. Because I'm trying to disengage from the conversation, as I mentioned before that it wasn't on the stream, and you keep pushing it. So drop it. Seems like that we have a lot of the top players. It's fine. I understand you being frustrated about everything that happened to you, but as I said, there's not much that I can do. This is one of the official events, and I'm here to talk about the event itself. If you want to address this outside of the event, we can talk. But not here, not right now. 28-minute mark. So in 2 more minutes, we are going to be seeing, I'm going to be opening this map here, because you've seen before that a lot of these are showing here in the map, as they are in here. But I'd like to show how they show in the map as well, because some people, especially if they are not rally leads, they can be preparing to instantly go to any of the buildings that they can see here. And as they're not used to do that, it would be interesting to see how people move and do things beforehand. Not everyone also knows how these buildings and these things are, so it is interesting to check and to be prepared for that. So in 40 seconds, we are going to have the center. After we do that, I'm going to talk about one of the events that is currently ongoing in the State of Survival. The developers requested that we talked a little bit about the event for you guys to know. It is an event that has a lot of freebies from what I've heard, so it is something that is interesting regardless. Right, in 20 seconds, we are going to check the water tanks. Seems like SOS took control back of the water tanks as well, so they are being more efficient in it. As you can see, they instantly show up and you can relocate to them. So there are small clumps for you to be able to do that. Like if you tap here, it instantly goes there. Righty. So in the judgment event, the event that is going through is the phase 3 to get to Diamond Bat, and there is an event that you can get from their external API with a link, and you can also do it inside of the game. But you can read it about it in here, and you can go in there. You can guess people that are winning in the final stages, and you will get a share of 500,000 diamonds. It will be getting through a game message for people to get in, and you can only, each player can only get one account and one UID to get it. Any number that you get in diamonds when things are being shared will be rounded up. And if you cannot get diamonds in your version of the game, you'll get biocaps. So there is an event that is sharing free diamonds for you to participate and be able to get things in there, which is a great thing. I mean, free stuff. Who doesn't like free stuff? A lot of people miss the streams that were back into the game due to all the free stuff that they have. So go grab your diamonds opportunity as much as you can. All right, now that we do have here, we have Joe, which seems to be one of the top players fighting back. Although alone, I don't think it would be a great idea to be here. If I was one of Joe, I would be actually going through and putting some of my troops in here to try to move some of the top players into the water tanks. In the 16-minute mark, we're gonna have the final stages of number of water tanks that you can get. And then after that, you start getting a free-for-all of what you can do for buildings. We do have Black Widow fighting for the solar here. Ramsey is trying to kick back some of the with some solos here and try to get this building back, which has 5,000 water. At this point, however, with the difference in how many points they are getting, plus the difference in score, the match is pretty much set on stone. They can't fight back. It would be needed a miracle for them to fight. How you do know when things are rough? You do check again the water on top of the buildings plus how many water tanks you can get. So currently we do have here 19,000 plus 19,000, so 38 plus 15 here, which would be 50,000. So the majority of points are coming here are 50,000 points, which would put them at 180, and roughly the other team, if they got all the buildings, at 140 something, so 130 something, maybe 140, which would not be enough to turn around the match. So this means that in the last few minutes, which is the stage where usually people do that, they are not going to be able to fight back. 40,000 points usually is a huge difference for you to crawl back. Even if you reset the buildings, unless you are controlling the water tanks, you cannot crawl up that amount of points in a small amount of time, so it can be problematic. Seems like they were able to kick again processing water plant here, but it seems like Ashish has been more efficient than previously to get some of the water spillages back. This is a very efficient way, honestly, of when you have a clump of things like that to stay close to the middle. It makes you more vulnerable because it's easier for people to find you. That being said, you can move out your marches in and out in a more efficient way to keep gathering the biggest amount of points you can. So this move from Bella here is a good move to get the water tanks as well. Seems like the buildings that they don't have control at the moment are not being fought back. Let's check all the buildings to see if some players are pushing. Helipad is one of the weakest buildings that you can go for because not only it has only 250 points, but also the utility it gives is regarding relocators, which can help for smaller players. So if you are again in a situation where your players cannot go with you because they are free-to-play players, it can have its utility. That being said, in any competitive match that is close, the amount of resources that you are going to save with it are usually not going to be enough to justify you deploying. As they have here 7 players that could be fighting for the water tanks to be holding it. Seems like right now SOS is trying to pop these buildings because these are some of the buildings that still haven't been popped. So there are only 2 buildings here that haven't been popped. Actually, helipad has a very small amount, but 7,000 points here is the final push that SOS can do to get the points from the water spillage in here. Seems like the players that are in here are sending a few solos instead of rallies. Will that pay out, as they have to have a certain amount of power to be able to kick them with solos? The final wave of water tanks, which marks when the final stage starts, is in about 1 minute and 30 seconds. And after this, you are able to it is the not that we were able, it is the most efficient time to try to pop the buildings. That being said, due to how much WoW has been struggling to fight back in these buildings, I don't think that it will be popping any of the buildings, and they don't have the power. And even if they did, at this point, this match is pretty much solved. So if you have any questions or anything you would like to ask about the event, feel free to ask on chat, as the final 15 minutes are going to be a little bit slower than usual. This happened in some cases where the match tends to go a little bit one-sided, which are not as fun to watch, but also it can give a space for that kind of discussion in here. Yeah. All right. So it seems like the buildings were kicked off, and the majority of the water spillages from I can check from the score have gone back to SOS. So now that we have a bunch of water tanks. Is the fight where when the fight get more speedy in terms of how many you can grab them. From the way that I've seen the match go through, especially as a few of the WoW players have been burned already, I can see this going also to the way of SOS. There are some water tanks being fought back, especially in this region. But those are few and far between, not enough to make a dent. Seems like I was correct, and the majority of the water tanks are turning blue, with some exception in this clump where we have a few of the other players. There are a few here, but they can easily be kicked out if they have one of the strongest players around here. Seems like even the helipad was reset, so there are no points more in the table besides the points that the blue team has. And as the red team has not been as aggressive, there's not much that they can do. The majority of them are behind the line, so they gave up. So this is an SOS win. Another interesting thing that you can do is you can time the infected waves with your marches as well. If you do that, each one of these infected waves take care of a percentage of troops that are inside it as well. So think of it as having a third rally that are always going to hit some of the things that are in the buildings there. So if you are able, even if you don't have the majority of power in a situation like this, if you can time it with the infected wave plus you doing the double rally, usually in most case scenarios you are going to be able to kick the player out, and then you can get the water spillage and fight back for those buildings. The way that things work is that if you don't have enough power, even though this seems very basic, it seems that it was not being pulled off in this match from the rallies that are in here that you can check, is that if you can't double rally someone, you can usually win a match. I haven't seen a single double rally, so I assume that either they don't have the power or they were not able to do it. So as I haven't seen a single double rally kicking anyone out the entire match, I can easily assume that this is not going to happen in the last 10 minutes of the match as well. So this is the moment where there are only few and far between players fighting for this, and they are not in here. Probably the majority of players wanting to get their points for the event are gonna pounce into the players that are still in here to try to burn them and get a few more points. All right, as for the final 10 minutes, usually at this moment is, as I said, when you have the buildings popping, the points scattering, and all those other good stuff. But what I think we'll be having is a lot of players maybe leaving those buildings and fighting for the water tanks that they can, or just trying to pounce to get the 3 points in there. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask. Seems like did have a building popping up here, even though it was a small amount of points. I am not playing in any of the matches today, all perception. We will have a streamer playing the matches later on, I think in the 19-hour mark, which will be Sammy. Sammy is still playing in the event. That being said, I will be with her in the 19, I think in YouTube as well, and I'll be covering and commentating over her match while she will be playing. We're both gonna be on stream, I believe. Unless something goes wrong, that's what's gonna happen. So if you want to see one person specifically playing the game, feel free to join in the 19, I think here on YouTube. So let me double check for you. Yeah, it is on YouTube. Oh, that's a good thing. Usually if your state is new, you have a lot of things happening in the state. It tends to be very lively. Things settle down after a while. And when they do settle down, not a lot happens besides the events. So being in a very new state has its advantages and disadvantages. Usually is when people are trying to make state rules and people are hunting down for resources. All the stuff that you guys know. So right now, as you can see, you do have a few players coming into some of these smaller buildings, but there are some other buildings that they could be fighting for, specifically these two that only have 5 people in with rallies. And it seems like they are not doing that. Even if they go for the center, as they have 8 players in, unless they're starting in rallies for those buildings, they are not going to be able to kick them out with solos here, even if they are a top player. What you will start to see, as you can check here on the map, is that as the water tanks have an amount of water in them, they're not infinite when they spawn. In this stage here for 10 minutes as well is when they start to get depleted and they start going more rare as before. This depletion is a depletion that is based in how much time people have been gathering them. It's not about a timing issue, it's a resource issue. So this is why this stage tend to go and be more calmer for the water tanks and for less amount of points, and that people go and try to pop the buildings in this specific stage. We are having some of the players trying to fight these buildings now with Black Widow. I think Black Widow is their top player. It is the best chance of all the buildings that they can be to be fighting for the issue. But I don't think with solos Black Widow will be able to kick them out. Seems like Black Widow agree and move out of the building as well. Seems like they are trying a rally in the center. And this is a good time for the SOS team to be burning the joiners, because as soon as the joiners relocate out, all their troops that are out are gone as well. So let's assume that they join Joey's rally here. If they are able to kick them out because they have been burned out, what will happen is that all those troops in that rally will be popped off and the rally is not going to be full again. This is a strategy that you can be using both in an event like Capital Clash and in other events like here. I've seen a lot of people be very aggressive in Capital Clash, where you go and solo weaker players that have joined your rallies, and that makes sure that the hit that is within your rally that is marching to not be able to fight back. Seems like that the rally hit, but the rally was not enough, which is why they should have been doing a double rally and not a single rally. But as you can check here, they have not started a double rally, so I don't see them kicking them off again. Two minutes for the end of the match. Majority of the water tanks is gone. People are not even fighting for them anymore. This is going to be GG. Right, everyone. Hope you guys enjoy watching the stream. Hope I was able to explain a few things that not everyone knows. Regardless, I will be back probably at 19. If not at 19, I'll be back on Sunday, and we'll be covering more matches. We will be watching for the last 30 seconds, and I'll be closing here. Hope you guys had fun, just like I did. I had to go back to my work shift, and as soon as the match ends, and it was a pleasure being here as always. You can find me, as I posted before, in both my YouTube and my Twitch channel. My YouTube, I haven't been posting content, but I plan on posting it this year. So feel free to find me there. It is here. In any of these. So see you soon. And bye-bye. Have a good one.